So, thank you everybody for being a part of this commencement ceremony. First off, congratulations to you guys. It's been a journey, and we're really proud of you guys for making it to where you are today. I just wanted to say real quick that, in the last couple months, I've sat in on probably 4 or 5 meetings here in the county with different kinds of community leaders where people stand up and they say, you know what we don't have in Ashtabula County? We have this lack of hope in Ashtabula County. They say, there's all this hopelessness and nobody believes in things and everybody just expects things just to be the way that it always has been. And then I say to them, well, you need to go to a drug court graduation then. Because really, these guys sitting up here represent just as big a collection of hope, as anybody in Ashtabula County. We're talking about people that have made it through this process. We're talking about people whose friends and family and loved ones have supported them through this process. And then the hopes of our team as well, that people will continue into long-term recovery. As well as the participants that are currently in drug court, these guys represent the fact that you can make it up here too at some point. So keep in mind that when you go out of here and everybody says there's nothing good and nothing hopeful in Ashtabula County, you saw something here tonight that was full of hope. So, just to introduce the drug court team real quick, if you don't know who we are. I'm Matt Butler from Community Counseling Center. Judge Yost from the Court of Common Pleas. Heather Zoll from Lake Area Recovery Center. Stephanie Belconis she's the coordinator. Nick Irochi from the County Prosecutor's Office. Back there is Zach Winting from the Probation Department. Sergeant Brian Rhodes from the Sheriff's Office. Michael Murphy from Lake Area Recovery Center. Conchetta Regazione, the Magistrate. And Melissa Haas from NeoCap. And with that, I'll give it to Judge Yost.
And I want to welcome all of you here this evening. Of course, a number of you are drug court participants, and so you're required to be here whether you want to or not. But there are family members out there, there are friends, there are people that have already come up to me this evening and mentioned a connection or a relationship they had with someone who's involved in the program or a graduate. So there's a lot of support out there, and I appreciate the community support. In fact, this isn't the first time. It's Northwest, right? That's Northwest Ambulance? Oh, Geneva on the Lake, all right. I thank you so much for being here. As a community support for what we're trying to do, everyone knows what a serious problem we're dealing with, and it is a difficult one. But I've been very proud of the work that this entire team on the drug court has done, but as well as the participants. They work really hard, and it's not always easy for all of them, but they do work really hard at it. The other thing that I just want to take a moment to mention is that I think I've already sort of talked about this privately, but this is actually considered an official session of the Ashtabula County Court of Common Pleas. So even though we're not in the courtroom, when we hold the drug court status call and I'm presiding, we do expect certain things to be observed. The drug court participants all know that when you come to court, you have to dress appropriately for court, and there's a behavior and a demeanor that's expected. And I usually have written requirements that I impose on the media if anybody's planning to take photographs. But I just asked tonight, and I think Stephanie has already checked on this, but if you would just respect the privacy of these individuals, if they do not wish to have their photograph published, then you would respect that. But other than that, I know some of them are often willing to do it, and I'm happy when they are because I think that the community needs to see how well these people are doing and what a positive impact that the drug court has been able to make as far as they're concerned. Our Ashtabula County Prosecutor, Mr. Irochi, is going to assist me in talking a little bit about the program. We've shortened this up a little bit because some of you have heard it before. But
the whole process starts when when the person submits to their attorney an application to my office, and I determine the initial eligibility for drug court, and then ultimately it's the team that makes that decision for participation. But the application either says you're a diversion applicant or a post-conviction applicant. Diversion means that upon completion of the candidate's case, in other words, if they successfully complete diversion drug court and tonight graduate, their case is dismissed. The charges that have been filed against them are dismissed, and their entire file is sealed, meaning it will not appear on their record. And we have one diversion graduate tonight. You also could be a post-conviction participant. In that case, the candidate is placed on community controls or probation, and as a condition of their community controls or probation, they must successfully complete and graduate from drug court. And 3 of our graduates are post-conviction participants.
The substance abuse, frankly, in the assessment that's done, a person has to have a significant substance abuse disorder to even be eligible for drug court. So the fact that you were using drugs when you committed a crime, that isn't what it's about. It's about people that really do have some serious issues to be addressed, and they must, at a minimum, be considered for for intensive outpatient. At a minimum, and the determination of the level of care where they start is part of the assessment that is done by the Community Counseling Center. So some people start right out with intensive outpatient. Some people might require inpatient treatment where we use Turning Point, or for particularly problematic issues, some of you know, you may end up having to attend NeoCap, which is a community-based correction facility that provides intensive treatment and counseling, but at the same time, you're in a lockup facility. It's not a place that you can just leave if you don't like the way the program's going. And then, of course, another essential component of drug court is the monitoring that is ongoing. So we have probation that regularly is keeping tabs on all of the participants. They are required to come and meet with me initially, at least weekly, and then as people progress, if it looks like they're doing well, we sort of loosen the reins a little bit. They may come in bi-weekly or even tri-weekly, but this monitoring is ongoing. And of course, a significant component of that is random drug testing. So all of our participants know that they're expected to call in every single day to find out if they're going to test that day. And then, of course, on a random schedule, they may be informed that they're required to test. And all of that is part of the accountability. We're not trying to catch them. We're trying to get them to think about every single day, I don't want to have a dirty test when I get called. So it's all part of the accountability. And then, of course, these people are living proof that at some point, sooner or later, you really can make it to this event which is taking place tonight. Now, you might have noticed that when Matt was talking about it, he referred to it as commencement. And this was actually a conscious decision that came about after some discussions I had. Initially started actually with Barry Newsom, who's seated over here. He said, sometimes people feel like when I graduate, I'm finished. I'm done now, I graduated. I don't have to do anything else anymore. And we really started thinking about the psychological impact of that frame of mind, that this isn't the end for any of these people. This is really the beginning. They're still really early in the recovery process, and they need to think about this day as the first day of how they're going to continue a life of sobriety and recovery. And so we determined that graduation from school is referred to as commencement, right? And so it's not a term that we made up, but it's a term that we thought better describes what's really taking place here. So then that's the ultimate conclusion, is when you reach the point where we consider you to have completed the requirements of the program and you officially become a drug court alumni. Or in this case, we have 3 alumni, if you're a purist in Latin, when I was speaking with her, that I remember her particularly well, I think, because I had just started as the drug court judge. I hadn't been doing it for very long. And she came in for one of her meetings with the judge. And she described herself as being afraid. She was at Turning Point at the time. She was afraid that she might not be able to be successful, I think, in the program is what she was really afraid of. And she looked, I don't know how to describe her. She looked a little frail, and she was really quiet. And for some reason, there was something about her that caused me to say, you have to be successful in this program. Like, you're going to be my shining star. Like, I'm the drug court judge now, and you're going to be the example, a shining star of how wonderful this drug court program is going to be with me. Well, I think she went out the window or something. Yep. And it wasn't too long after that she disappeared from Turning Point, and she went into the abyss. And nobody knew where she was. And she was in trouble. But she was gone, I can't tell you how long. She was almost at the cutoff point where we were just going to terminate her from drug court and say, all right, I've had a warrant out for you now for 3 months, so you're done. There's no way we're going to take you back. And actually, she didn't voluntarily come back, actually. We were notified that she was at Ashtabula General Hospital and we had a warrant for her. So we went there and we got her and we put her back in custody. And when I talked with her, she said she wanted to get back into the program. She wanted to try to complete the drug court program. She wanted to give it her best shot. And when I talked to her when she was arrested, I've described her to people. This is a terrible thing to say, but I have described her like she looked like a whipped dog. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but she was really at a low ebb when we arrested her and brought her back to the drug court program. But the team talked about it and we said, okay, she wants to do this, we'll give it another shot. And I think, if you don't already know her, I think you're going to agree after you hear her tonight and see her, that she is definitely a shining star. And it's an example of what you can do and you can accomplish. We're here to help you, but if you want to do it, you can make it happen. So it is a really great honor and pleasure for me to introduce Heather Zoll.
You know, I was just thinking up here, this is crazy to me. Like, a couple of years ago, I would have never guessed I would be sitting in between a judge and a prosecutor getting ready to speak at drug court graduation. I would have thought I was in trouble. But it just goes to show you that amazing things do happen, staying in this process. I know all of you personally, and I'm so proud and blessed to be on this journey with you. I know that it's been, a process. Sometimes it's been probably a little bit of a nuisance. But we gotta always look for the blessing and the burden, right? Like, what were the alternatives? Jail was the upside to what could have happened if we didn't go through this process. And you went through some suffering with addiction. You persevered through this process, through jail. Now you got some character, and you have hope today. And not only that, not only did you do what is virtually impossible to most people, and put down the drugs and put down the alcohol, and finish this successfully, but you have turned your darkest past into your greatest asset today. You can help other people. That's saying something. Before this process, a couple of years ago, if you don't believe that there's going to be opportunities after this, a couple of years ago, a little more than a couple of years ago, I was homeless. I had a felony warrant, like the judge said. I was out in the street. I was selling my body. I didn't have a relationship with my kids. And 2 years later, I'm working in treatment and sponsoring girls. And I have a relationship with my kids. And I'm engaged to an amazing man who is just as passionate about this program as I am. Miracles happen. And I just, if I could leave you with anything, it's to keep a positive perspective on things. Always turn that blessing into a burden. There's going to be hard times. Life hits you hard, it just does. But you have the tools now, laid at your feet, to pick up whenever you need. Never did I ever call anybody in the program that was working a good program of recovery and they leave me hanging. Never did I ever feel judged. I always felt loved. Nobody ever said, oh my God, about any of my problems. You don't have to do this alone. Our best thinking alone got us here, right? So rely on the program, rely on God, and I'll be right here, right by your side through this journey. I'm blessed to know you guys. Congratulations.
It's traditional that we ask them to say a little bit of something to you. So I will call them up here individually. I think I have my list in the same order that we have this PowerPoint, but, well, maybe if you're ready, Zach, let's go ahead with the first one. Thiessa Taylor, before you come up, Thiessa, I just want to let people know, I won't say this on every single one, but you're going to see on the left side a little bit of information about them, which program she was in post-conviction or diversion. Also, a milestone for them, the length of sobriety that they've had. We usually like to mention sanctions because sanctions are part of the process as you go through drug court, and you can kind of get an idea that she had, well, we've had people get more than 9 sanctions, but it's just a situation where we've had people do a lot less. So you can tell maybe she had a few rocky things happen along the way, but she hung in there, she stuck it out. and so she's able to be here today. We've also listed some of these accomplishments. So I wanted to leave this for last. This is the first time we've ever done this. I guess you can call it the before and after picture. But on the top, you see the booking photograph, and you can see when she first came in, it wasn't probably really her best day that day. But you can see a photograph of her now, and we've done this with each one of the drug court graduates, and I want to thank all of them for agreeing. I know not all of them were really excited about giving us permission to use these photographs, but I want to thank all of them for agreeing to do this because it really is a testament to how far they have come. And I think, for me, it's a great inspiration to see what they've been able to do in a very visual way, to know where they were at that point when they first came in, matriculated into the criminal justice system, and to where they are today. And when she was one of the people that went to NeoCap. And during the first almost 10 weeks that she was there, I was reviewing her reports, and they grade them on how well they're doing while they're there. So whoever was filling out this report almost consistently said she was doing fair, which means, okay, everything's okay. But it seemed like all of a sudden, after that 10-week mark, you could start to notice a change. And so she was starting to see like good indications that she was doing good in all of the areas of her report. And it was like a light bulb that went off, because for the last 5 weeks she was there, absolutely consistent that she was receiving good reports. And again, although she's had to work at it to stay on track, she's been successful. So, yes, I want to invite you to please say something about this. So I'll hand you the microphone.
My Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, that is what's gotten me through all of this. Without Him, I would have nothing. I want to thank my program and AA and all my sponsor and all my support, and I want to thank actually almost all of you guys in drug court. I know most of you, I do things with you. You guys support me, you love me, you're my friends. You know, I'm there for you, you guys are there for me. I want to thank my daughter for being understanding and still loving me through all of this, and just my family and friends for always just sticking through it. I want to thank everyone at Lark for sticking through it with me too, because I'm not easy. You know, NeoCap, you know what changed at NeoCap is, for a while, I was afraid of God pretty much, and when I actually was okay and accepted that I needed God in my life and I wasn't ashamed of Him anymore, that's when the changes really started happening. And I just want to ask all of you to not be afraid of God now, because, you know, that's God, whatever you want it to be, whatever your higher power is, that's what's going to get you through this. You cannot run this show. And with that, that's all I got.
Each graduate is presented with a certificate to recognize their accomplishments. Also, throughout the program, for various milestones, they're given coins. So this is the final, this is the ultimate coin to recognize your graduation. But the most important paperwork is yet to come. If I can ask Mr. Arucci to step up.
Hey, I was whispering to Stephanie about the story that I told you during the interview about when you were in court during, I think, an arraignment, and I was sitting at the prosecutor's table, and of course you were not very well off, and you openly in court called Stephanie a name, and you didn't like me either. And during the interview, I asked you if you remember that, and you said you didn't remember that. And you have come a long way, baby. I mean, seriously. You were a post-conviction participant. You had 2 separate cases. You were convicted of aggravated possession of drugs, a 5th-degree felony, and grand theft of a motor vehicle, a 4th-degree felony. You were placed on community controls and ordered to attend and participate and complete drug court. And you have successfully completed drug court, and you have successfully completed that part of your post-conviction drug program. I'm handing you 2 signed judgment entries of Judge Yost, more or less closing your case. Congratulations.
Next, we'll have Trevor Howe. There we go. All right. So you can see that Trevor's cleaned up quite a bit from looking at the photo. I want to have you stand there just for a minute, Trevor. When Trevor came into drug court, his diagnosis included moderate alcohol use disorder, mild cannabis use disorder, but severe amphetamine use disorder. Now he actually is one of the people that did not do NeoCap, and I don't think you did Turning Point, did you? So he started out in the intensive outpatient, but the thing that I definitely have to give Trevor credit for, because there were some weeks when I talked to him that he probably thought that I didn't think he was trying hard enough or something like that, but he was always very good about keeping all of his appointments. And of course, that's not always easy for everyone, because there's counseling appointments, there's your regular meetings and treatments and all of that kind of stuff. And he was particularly good with keeping his counseling appointments, and of course has managed to get himself to this point, so I would like to ask him if he would share a few words with all of us.
I'd like to thank the drug court team sitting up here, Jason and Joanne, Dia. You guys helped me do something that I couldn't do for myself, and that's to get clean and sober. I'd also like to thank my parents for all the support that they've given me through this process. I'd like to thank my sponsor, Ted, for the support he's also given me through this process. And that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, I don't know about there was a point when you came to drug court that you did have the beard, and I can't remember exactly when you decided to take it off, but yeah, you definitely look all better today than you did when you started off. Here's your certificate recognizing your completion of drug court, and here's your coin, so congratulations on having both of those. And then, I'm going to ask Mr. Richard to come up and present with your legal paperwork.
Trevor, you're our only diversion participant and graduate. And as a result of your successful completion of drug court, the charges of attempted illegal assembly or possession for the manufacture of drugs, a 4th-degree felony, and aggravated possession of drugs, a 5th-degree felony, have been dismissed. And they're forever gone and can never be refiled. Congratulations, my friend.
Amanda Lawrence, if you'd like, I'll just have you stand up so you can step over a little bit. But I did want to say just one thing. For some reason, I didn't really remember this from when you first started in the drug court. And I was looking at your original assessment on the substance abuse. And you had made, one of the things people are asked about, what's something that makes you feel good about yourself? And your answer was nothing. Do you remember saying that? There was nothing that made you feel good about yourself. That's what you said in the assessment. The assessment showed that you had some pretty severe issues with amphetamines and opiates, but I mean, I think you can stand here today and say that you have a lot to feel really good about. And you're a person also that's really come a long way through drug court. As everybody can see, it was not a good day when you were being booked in and had that photograph taken, but you can see what a totally changed person you are. So I'd like to hand you the microphone and ask you to share a few words.
I want to say thank you to drug court. You guys have pushed me to become a better person and to learn to live life sober, which I never really knew before. I want to thank my family, thank my friends, thank God. And I know I don't see NeoCap here, but NeoCap, because they made a huge impact on my life and changing me to be a better person. Oh, so, I don't know, that's all I've got.
That's it?
Yes.
Okay. Here's a certificate of recognition of your completion of drug court. The final point as you add to your collection. And so congratulations. Good luck. All right. And Mr. Arochi?
Well, you were, Amanda, also a post-conviction participant. And you had 2 separate cases. One case, you were what we call a probation violation participant, where you had an attempted aggravated possession of drug charge. You were placed on community controls and you violated the terms of your controls. And because they were drug related, we all thought that you'd be a good participant through that probation violation charge. And that dates back to a 2013 case. You also were placed in drug court on another case, and that's when you were charged with aggravated possession of drugs, methamphetamine. That was a 5th-degree felony, and also possession of drugs. You had Suboxone, also a 5th-degree felony. You were placed in drug court on both of those cases, ordered to successfully complete drug court. You have now satisfied those conditions of your community controls, and for all intents and purposes, your probation is pretty much terminated. So congratulations.
Our next graduate then is Erica Burgess. Probably everyone who's been involved in the criminal justice system who has a substance abuse issue can probably relate to what I'm getting ready to say about Erica. You probably didn't have a whole lot of serious problems before you started using drugs. Now, sometimes we do see people that, because of things beyond their control, perhaps got caught up in the justice system at an early age, and then maybe the substance abuse was something that just kind of came along as they were going through the system. But Erica is one of those people, like I think a lot of you can relate to, that virtually had no criminal record. And when I was preparing for tonight, I was looking back at the pre-sentence reports done on her case, and she was already, I think, at least in her early 20s. But, I mean, you can definitely see when she talks about when she first started off using opiate-type drugs, which of course then eventually ended up with her using heroin, that it was like, boom, all of a sudden she was in felony land. And she's another person who had 2 different cases, felony cases in the court, and of course the assessment showed that she had a severe issue and she qualified for the drug court program. And I have to say this, she's one of the people that said, I really don't want anybody to show my photograph. And I kind of twisted her arm to talk her into it, but at the time, I was looking at the photograph that was done at the PSI, and I said, it's not really that bad. And then I saw the booking photograph, and I don't mean this in a harsh way, but I see why she didn't want to share it with you. But I want to thank you again so much for having the courage to do that, to let people see what you've accomplished. And I think it does 2 things. It shows you, for one thing, the kind of track you're heading down if you don't get control of substance abuse, but it also shows you what you can accomplish if you take this seriously. So thank you again for letting us use your photograph.
I just want to say thank you guys for not kicking me out at the beginning, because I know I did start off to a bad start. And I have to thank God, because I needed that to get to where I am today. I want to thank NeoCap. Without going there, I wouldn't even realized I had a thinking problem. So thank you. I have to thank my support, my family. You guys never gave up on me. Even though I thought I couldn't do it, you were still there. And my son, I love you, and I got this. So, thank you.
I give you, first of all, the certificate, recognize your completion of this drug court program, and also the final point to be able to add to your collection for having reached this milestone. And Mr. Arochi will be able to provide you with these important legal documents.
Well, Erica, I have to reflect on when you first got into drug court. Of course, you were hanging around with the wrong people, and I know Marie Lane, your attorney, really fought for you to get into drug court, and she's unfortunately not able to be here tonight because she is part of our drug court team. And I was a little hesitant because of the past and who you're hanging out with, but I am just so happy to say that I'm eating crow right now. And you had 2 cases. One, you were charged with illegal use of supplemental nutrition assistant or WIC benefits, a 5th-degree felony, and attempted illegal assembly or possession of chemicals, a 4th-degree felony. You were placed in post-conviction drug court. You've successfully completed that. Those conditions have been satisfied. Congratulations. Judge Yost has signed the order.
Tell me about your drug court experience.
It was really hard at first. You know, they expect a lot out of you. I had to completely change my life. It was worth it though in the long run. I needed it. They really do care. And I went to NeoCap. That was where I discovered I had a thinking problem, and it saved my life. Honestly, I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for them.
What was the hardest part for you?
Probably admitting that I was an addict, being afraid of how people would view me, admitting things to my family. That was probably the hardest thing.
If I may ask, how did you get started down that road?
Yes, I started with pain pills. I got in a car accident and went to a doctor, and he gave me pain pills. And then I also have depression. I wasn't being treated for that, so with those, it just kind of progressed.
And what was the last straw that made you go to drug court, or drug court became an option?
I was at my lowest point. I was homeless. I was with a guy who was doing all the wrong things. I was doing all the wrong things. I ended up getting arrested and got some sobriety. It cleared my head and went to NeoCap. So that was where I started.
So what is next for you?
Right now I'm working at Mr. Hero and going to school for business administration. So I hope to one day open my own business.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Is it a good one? He doesn't care. He's so bad at photography.
It's excellent.